Now, guys, I already know what you're gonna say. Leaf, you are making way too many red fox exhibits. And to that, I say, yes, I am. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wildwood Zoo. Hope you guys are all having a foxy little day. So, of course, we're building yet another red fox habitat. But before we do that, we're actually getting started on our little food court over here. And while I say getting started, I really mean finishing. Because if you guys have been watching religiously throughout, like, these past few episodes, you'll notice that I've really been working on this kind of like food court, like kind of scattered, and honestly that's the best way I would like to actually do it. So that's what we're working on today, and even later down the line, I don't think it's done yet. I think I actually want to have like a nice big sign welcoming you in, but I just gotta figure out the time to actually do that, because right now I feel way too lazy to actually do that. So we're getting right over here with kind of getting our food trucks in here, and yeah, we're settling on food trucks because I feel like I don't use them enough, but I just love the idea of them. So we have Mexican food and milkshakes. What could go wrong, right? So I have a few of those right in there, and I also get to work on adding some more seating throughout here. So that's exactly what I really wanted to do, just add a few more seats throughout. And I also felt like we didn't have enough trash cans, so I add a few of them all throughout here as well. Just everywhere where I feel like there would be enough like room between the guests and like the trash cans, just in case if they like, you know, smell or something like that. So I have those. And I also got to work on some rock work to help separate this area from the rest. And I don't know, I kind of like it. I kind of like how this entire area is kind of in its own little valley. I think it's super cute. I think it's very nice and secluded, and it gives its own vibe compared to the rest of the zoo. So I don't know, I just really like that, and especially when you're walking around it and you actually look down and you can see everyone eating like all the nice street food and stuff like that. I just think that's its own like nice little marketing technique right there. So that's exactly what we work on right over here. We're just adding a few more rocks, trying to keep these colors staying nice and dynamic, and yeah, that's really about it. I'm trying to think what else I do in this section. I think it actually recorded out of order, so I think I actually worked on the fox habitat first, and then I worked on this, but the way that it put it into Premiere, I was like, you know what, it's fine. We got to actually end with the habitat itself, which is totally fine by me. So I add a whole bunch of these nice big pieces of bracken all throughout, not bracken, but lady ferns, and yeah, it just helps brighten up the area so much more. Helps it feel like this is the real forested section of the zoo, and especially adding them in like the rock crevices and stuff like that, it really helps it feel a lot better when all is said and done. I don't know, it just helps it feel a lot more natural, and yeah, it gives us more opportunities to put trees down in there, because having trees coming straight out of rock probably isn't the best idea, but having them come out of bracken, it at least allows the mind to imply that there's like soil under there. Maybe the trees were there before. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of what we do. I also add a whole bunch of saltwood in here just to give it a nice bit of a brightness, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just really enjoy using that all throughout there, and you can see we're adding some of the trees in here as well, but mostly focusing on the larger trees right throughout here, and adding the bigger ones first, because I really wanted to make sure we get those nice shaded areas throughout here, and also adding some dead trees as well, just help keep the area feeling nice and dynamic. You would probably get a lot of these near the moose habitat, because a lot of the times when you go to these like nice wetland areas around New England, you oftentimes see these dead trees in these swamps, and that's kind of what I wanted over there, so we could probably imply that this area was kind of leveled in order to make the food court, so I kind of like that. But we're actually getting to work on our fox habitat right over here. I already kind of have the perimeter all set. Actually, no, I don't, so you got to see me actually do that. I didn't want to deal with the lag from before, so I actually use that same kind of concrete wall that we've been using every so often, especially around the fox habitat. So I use a whole bunch of this everywhere, and it looks really good. So I kind of rotate them incrementally to get this nice, very precise turn, if that makes sense. And yeah, it gives us a nice enough room to build with. We're building for a normal red fox as well as a black red fox as well, so they make a really nice kind of like ember kind of color together. I really like that. Hope you guys enjoy the cinematics for them too. But I wanted to keep this nice and simple, obviously, because it's just another breeding yard for the red foxes. You probably wouldn't be breeding red foxes because they're kind of least concern. Unless if you're specifically breeding for morphs, which in that case, this probably wouldn't be an accredited zoo, but still we're having a lot of fun with it. So we're adding a whole bunch of ferns and stuff in here just to help keep the area separate from the actual habitat itself. That's why I have the rest of the fencing back down there as well. It doesn't really interrupt with the view all too much, which I think is going to be totally fine. And yeah, adding the rest of the foliage outside of the habitat, because you guys know how I work. I work myself from the outside in, and it just helps it feel a lot more cohesive whenever you're actually building a habitat. And I figured, you know what, we should probably add another water source. Not really water source, but another pond for our little foxes to maybe splash around in, maybe drink out of. I'm not really sure. And forgive me while I take a little sip of my coffee. And yeah, working on getting these cladding pieces in here, as well as, yeah, the cladding pieces around the edge, because it just looks so much better whenever you do stuff like this. I don't know, I love the kind of rugged kind of look on the edge of water whenever you do build with the cladding pieces like that. It just helps it feel like it's so dynamic. I just really like that. So we also add the rest of the cladding in here as well for the taiga rocks. Helps it feel nice, helps it feel very, very natural. And yeah, that's really it. So we kind of build off of there, and we kind of build these nice tiny little increments in the level right outside of there as a way to help keep this area feeling nice and fresh. It's a relatively flat area, which I'm very happy to build for, finally. So that's just a very interesting way of building right over there. And we kind of build these tiny little increments of elevation, just help keep the area feeling nice and dynamic. I think I already said that, did I? Oh my gosh, maybe I'm losing it. So I also add these doors back over here, just mirroring the other side, just in case if a keeper needs to get in and clean up the area. And I also add 2 orange trees in here, because I just felt like we should probably have a lot more orange in the zoo, because I don't know, I just felt like we really needed to. I should also probably go throughout the zoo, like in the next episode or so, and finish up adding all the pumpkins everywhere, because we're so close to like Thanksgiving. I want to make sure that I get it in all before the Christmas season, because if I don't, then it'll be kind of weird, and then I'll need to start putting up holiday lights and everything like that. Maybe that'll be a special Christmas episode, I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's really it. Adding the rest of the foliage in here, working on the saltwort, the lady ferns, and then I think I'll move on to nettle and like the Yorkshire grass as well. And then yeah, it's just a nice cohesive theming in here. I just really love how bright it is. Especially for red foxes. A lot of the times when you are building for foxes, they don't really mess up their habitat all too much, so you're able to make way with a lot more foliage than you normally would. Say if you're building for hoofstock or bears or a lot more heavier animals, they don't really tear up the grass all too much, which is honestly really, really thankful to see, because I could finally build in a nice lush area. Also stealing the climbing frame from the other habitats as well, just making sure that our red foxes will be able to climb everywhere, just because, believe it or not, red foxes actually can climb, and they can climb very well. So I just wanted to make sure that we have areas for them to kind of do that, and also adding the faux rock work all throughout here, just making sure that this area feels nice and natural and cohesive with the other red fox habitats, and I think we did a pretty damn good job of doing that. Also adding some bushes throughout here with the diamond leaf willows. I've been using them so much more sparingly in this zoo, but I think that's kind of working out for me, because I remember back in Sugar Pine, by the way, go check out Sugar Pine if you got nothing else to do, one of my favorite series. I would use them as ground cover, and it looked really good for that zoo, but I was like kind of tired of it by the end of it, so I'm kind of drawing back on those this time around. What I'm also doing over here is just making a nice little seating area and making sure that, you know, this area feels nice. It feels like very nice and covered. So I add a little bit of education right here for the guests, utilizing Lion's modular sign pack. Of course, one of the best blueprints you could even use out there. But what I wanted to use over here was the kind of oh yeah, I also put a yellow tree right there because I feel like we've been kind of slacking on that recently. But I've been utilizing the same kind of covers from the Just a little picnic areas all around, and I kind of fix it up a little bit so that it makes more sense where the guest would go in. So I kind of push those kind of beams to the side, and I push the seating actually on the inside of that. This would probably be where you would go under if it starts to rain and you're close to the area, and you just need a little place to stay out of the rain or the snow or something like that. So I'm very happy with that, and I also changed out the colors to make sense with the rest of the area, make it that classic carnivore black that we've been using. And I also raised the roof a little bit because it was a little bit too low. You could see that when I went down into guest view. That's something I always suggest that you guys do, is just whenever you're building, go down in a guest view, and then you should be able to see just how everything kind of stacks up. So that is really it for this build, just small details here and there. But I want to thank you guys once more for stopping by for, I know, another red fox habitat. But I hope you guys were able to take away something from this habitat, because I always love to give you guys, like, these nice little tricks and tips and stuff like that. But all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are always the best. Be sure to, stay tuned for the next episode, because I think that may be the last speed build of Wildwood Zoo. Maybe it's the second to last, I'm not really sure. Enjoy the rest of the cinematics, and I hope you guys have the most wonderful of wonderful days. Goodbye now.